Are you someone that struggles with your fine motor skills? I super do. I have a weird thing where I can't do anything small. I really struggle. So things like fine hairs or whiskers or just any little tiny detail that I'm supposed to do with a watercolor brush when I'm working with watercolors, like it ain't happening. But I found a product, there's a certain brush pen that is totally been a game changer for me. I've worked with them for a few years and I've never done a video on them. I think they're just so much of a regular part of my arsenal. I don't even think twice about grabbing them, but they're actually a huge contribution for me to be able to make all the little furry critters and the fun little whimsical women that I've been doing lately for my new book series, Whimsical Watercolor and How to Draw. So today I was going to take you again behind the scenes and show you my very special favorite brushes. If you're new to me or my channel, my name is Campbell. It's so nice to meet you. I'm an author of a lot of art books and an artist, and I own and operate Awesome Art School. But here on YouTube, I try to help out with all your mixed media needs. Mixed media is like the secret way to get good at a lot of different mediums. So it's like you have all these little secret extra other supplies that you can couple with your acrylics and your watercolors or what have you to make awesome artwork. So this is one of my biggest like secret little weapons, and I can't wait to show you how they work and why I love them so much. All right, this Nest art tool is one of my favorites. I have managed to figure out how to incorporate them into almost every lesson I do over at Awesome Art School, whether that be drawing, whether that be watercolor, alcohol markers, and so many more things. These are actually just little sign pens. And what's so magical about them is they have this teeny weeny tiny tip that is actually made of real bristles. So these are like individual, I'm gonna pull them apart here. You can see they're made of individual bristles. Unlike most pens have a solid nib that's just one material. And these are actual teeny bristles. And they are good for so many things, like eyelashes, like individual hair strands, like shoelaces, like little stripes on stockings, okay? And what's different about those, look at these little hair bows, these little individual hair, these are all done by these wee little markers, right? So we have our shoelaces, we have little thread strands. Can you see how different those marks are from our fine liner marks? The fine liner marks are, they're really uniform, right? They all look the same. They're very tight and controlled. Whereas these little brush pens are really crazy, and they're a lot more whimsical because they're very loose. They only come in these 12 packs. Actually, I don't even know if they come in more. I've been too obsessed using them. I haven't even researched any other ones. But say this was a sphere with a crazy animal. And because they come in I swear, just enough colors to have all the colors that I need. They're just a lot looser, so when you push down, you can make a quite fat mark, and when you just use the tips, you can make a very skinny mark. So there's a little bit of a learning curve to them. These are great for eyelashes. Oh my goodness. Pretend this is a big eye. They have a little flicky flu, so you have to get used to working with them, but they're really nice for little subtle eyelashes. And again, these individual hair strands, the little loosey-goosey shoelace, okay? It's just a squiggle and a squiggle. This right here, all these loosey-gooseys are just from literally squiggling my little marker in this orange color. So little marker, bloop, bloop, that's as simple as that. So these are called sign pens by Pentel, but there's a really big difference between the looseness that these create and the tight lines that the fine liners make. I'm absolutely obsessed. You can ask all my students at Awesome Art School. I like somehow weasel them into every single project, but they are really fun and I use them all the time. So this is what the box looks like new. I was looking on my Amazon account. It looks like my last set I purchased in 2022, which is really bananas because I use these all the time. So historically, I've seen these actually be quite pricey, like $45 for all of these. But the last time I checked, They were 30. And the fact that they can last someone 3 years, oh my God, whoa, 3 whole years, like, and I use them all the time is, you know, it's honestly, and this video, by the way, is not sponsored. I buy these as my own art supplies with my own money. My Pentel doesn't know I exist. I just love them. This is what the the packaging looks like. A couple things that are super important to note that I haven't mentioned yet are that these are vibrant, yes, water-based dye ink, which means that they activate when you get them wet. If you're using them with your watercolors like I am and like I teach, you actually have to be really careful not to activate them unless you want to. I find that when these are activated, they're way too intense and it really throws off the look of my other watercolors. So, and I've tried these with mixed media, I've tried these with alcohol markers, I've used them with a whole bunch of things, and I never love them when they're wet. So even though they totally can be activated, I actually don't like to. And actually these new ones, I'm gonna keep separate than my old ones. The whole reason I bought another set was because my first set is really fraying. They're not dead yet, but they're on their way out. So I'm gonna actually go grab another container for these. All right, I got my old ones in one mug. Oops, I arted. And the other one is, you're an awesome artist. Keep that shit up. These were both gifted to me by amazing members of my awesome art school community. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing to show you how I use these is I'm taking, these are 2 illustrations for 2 upcoming books, and we're going to get them out of the ugly stage. How do you take it to the next level? If you watch my video from last week, you can see the whole progression. Today, I just want to be focusing on these fine liners. So what I like to do is I like to take them in the colors that are related to the project that I am working in. So for this guy, we'll start with him first. He is, we're gonna need some blacks. There's blacks in here. There's gonna need brown, orange we could definitely do, and then there's a yellow, and then there's a yellow ochre. So again, it's weird. There's only 12 colors, but they always end up being just the right ones I need. Though they're not opaque. So if I go and put a yellow over any of these, you're not really gonna see, it's not gonna show up. It's not a paint marker, okay, it's just dye based, so it's transparent. But you can still add some little details in here where you can have little layer. You can barely see it, but I love this. I would never be able to do this with a brush. You can hardly see them, but I am at the same time. It's punching up. It's punching up these colors. And what I like to do is have little strands that are like longer than my watercolor. This is for Wonky Woofers. This is my last dog that I'm doing to put in. Should be about March 1st is my goal. I think I'll be able to hit it. The beauty of self-publishing is I don't have to wait for a traditional publisher. If I used a traditional publisher, you would not see this book for 2 more years. I love self-publishing. It's so freeing. All right, so that was the first one. Then I go down slowly. So this is the kind of the yellow ochre color. Now this one I think I will see. It's like the exact color I need. It's the same color that I used already. I'm just gonna add infinite hairs, just like you would on a doggo. But I don't know why I really struggle with fine detail with a watercolor brush, like an actual brush in watercolors. I don't know what my problem is, but I decided to stop fighting it and then just seek other art supplies that make it easy. I'm all about easy so we can all have more fun. If art is hard, it's not fun anymore, and then I don't want to do it. I am like all about some shortcuts, hacks, tools that make things faster and easier. It's a little cartoon. It doesn't have to be like the Mona Lisa. It doesn't have to be all the best art supplies. These are not light fast, and some people might be going like, oh my God, but my art lives on in my books. I don't need the original to last 6,000 years. If I do, I'll take a picture of it and I'll make a print, or just grab the books and then you can have them there. It just depends on what your priorities are. But see how I'm doing these straight flicky motions. You can do it, and they're so good for these individual hairs. They really look like hairs. so I'm going crazy with it because dogs have a gajillion hairs, so you might as well. Gotta get between the toe beans. Whee! Whoa! And it's such a light color, you're not like, you don't really even have to worry about messing up. You just chuck them in, they disappear into the watercolor, and you're good to go. All right, I feel satiated. Let's do some orange now. This is like super orangey orange, but this guy can handle it. I think I'm even gonna put some in his eyes. Maybe just here. Now when you're doing eyes, you have a person or a cartoon, just make sure whatever you do on one side, you do to the other side. And also, if you do add some orange to his eyes, then it makes all the more sense, and it'll look less weird if you have some patches of orange in other places too. Whee! So if I'm pushed down harder, I will get a much broader stroke like I showed you earlier in the video. And if you keep it really light and fluffy, it will make a really light mark. So the choice is yours. And this is a great project to practice your strokes on because they all get lost in the craziness, the cacophony of fur. Okay, cacophony is for sounds, but whatever, you know what I meant. Boo, boo, boo. We can have some orange here. You can get as orangey as you like. You can have these ones going this way. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Boo, boop. Dancing on some orange fur, boop. We already did the toe beans. We do more? Heck yes, always more toe beans. Fur. That's something my kids always say. We have a lot of pets, and they're always talking about the little toe beans. And I was happy when I've been hearing other people refer to the toes as beans on my Instagram reels. I'm like, okay, because I even put it in the book. I'm like, and I draw the toe beans. And I'm like, oh, are people going to be like, what in the world is she smoking? And what is a bean? But beans are just toes. So we have some orange. Let's keep going. Now we have the brown. Ooh, so now I'm going to focus on the darker areas. The cool thing about even just doing cartoons or learning to become a better artist through doing simple things like cartoons is you can still have shading and depth even though you're doing a cartoon. And it will just benefit like all your art, no matter what you're doing. If it's something serious or something lighthearted, it still is cool. Guys, I'm going crazy with the fur. To have like shading and stuff. It helps with the dimension so it reads better. It just reads like inside and then the paws are coming out. And it reads well because you have the dark areas in shadow and the light areas which push your subject forward. So you can do as many hairs as you want to. Oh, I am caught up in my flow state now, my friends. Watch out. Maybe have hair your ear. Oh my goodness. Needs more hair in here. He can't be that hairy and then not have hairs sticking out his ears as well, right? Sometimes we can go like really crazy and do like really crazy marks. All right, we got one more. I just go right down. I almost just said the alphabet. You go right down the color spectrum. Okay, so this one is black. So any that you really want to highlight, intensify. So I'm going to slow things down and serious it up a little bit here. So I'm going to have it just around his nose, all the way, like a spokes on like a bicycle. Okay, and that draws your eye towards his nose. Oh, you know what we don't even have in here are his little nostrils. See, we can do his little nostrils. This too, you can use these to draw and color in. It's going to be wonky because they're so bendy, the bristles are so bendy that it's hard to draw correctly. But this is a wonky woofer, so we're good. Shorten that part of his nose. The inside of his little mouth is going to be really... And it should be pretty dark under here too, because again, that's like way under where his chin is. We want that to go back. We want his paws to come forward. So we make all the hair in here darker. And then this is just the craziest one in the whole world, and he's coming out so cute. Let's add some more at the bottom of his ears. That would be fun. Highlight his ears a little bit. Oh my goodness. And you can see how like where I put the fine liner work, it's like a much different stroke. It honestly, sometimes it looks even like strange a little bit, so you can add some additional lines around it to make those seem a little bit more whimsical. And kind of rope this around. He's a messy baby. But he looks a lot more alive and whimsical now that he has 15,000 more hairs. Whoop. Look at how many hairs we did. We did 15 billion, but he has a lot more dimension, and we're not even quite done yet. We still have our pencil move that I like to do, and we also have some highlights what we're gonna pop in as well. All right, before we finish our wonky woofer, I wanna get going on our chicken a little bit. And this is the same exact process, although this time I'm gonna get my red out too. I'm also gonna get out my Pentel pocket brush pen. Now I wanted to talk about this because I use this a lot as well. I don't use this at all in the wonky woofers, but I do in the wacky whiskers, and I also do in the whimsical women, I think. But I use this a ton. This is also by Pentel, and it is also a bristle brush, but it's larger. I always call these other ones are like the little, sort of like the little sister. See the difference in the nibs? Quite different. So for our chicken, and if the areas that I want to make black, I can actually, again, instead of using a watercolor and a brush, because it's hard to get, I don't know, I struggle. I also struggle with black watercolor because it's never actually black enough. So going in with this is actually filled with ink, and so it's like super permanente, if you will. But how awesome does this look for like feathers? Like it super looks like feathers. And it works the same as the brush nib the small ones do, where when you push down really hard, it makes a really thick line like this. It's the same exact philosophy and use. And then when you try to use less pressure, you can get a very thin line, just like a thin line around his feet, thin, and then bulk it up. So same exact process, but a little bit more extreme practice to be very careful. So I can come in here with my smaller ones, but I just wanted to show you the difference because I do use this one also all the time, but I'm going to switch in a second to my little baby one. I'm going to come in here, and then this guy gets, should have black between his eyes. Zoop. Zoop. And I'll be going after this and do my normal kind of move with my graphite, which is like a huge part of my process as well. I use Blackwing pencils for that step. And again, you can see last week's video on that. I will definitely do I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check that out. That's like how I finish these guys all up. But sometimes I will use this pocket Pentel and the small one kind of in tandem with each other, since they work really well together. Now this one is not water soluble, although if it's still wet, you can hit it and it will reactivate by accident, but it is a pigment ink, and the other ones are a dye base, so they're very different products. Oh my gosh. And it's interesting, and it's really fun to practice with these little cartoons to be really whimsical and try to do scribble scrabbles and be loose and be silly. And if you make a mistake, then you can, oh, I forgot. I was going to start with red, and then I just went right into the heaviest of all the blacks. So same process I was going to do with my little guy. I'm going to start off with that yellow and do crazies. Crazies. Figured I might as well just show my whole process today. Why not? For my YouTube people. Oh, we could even add little more yellow. My sunflower is already yellow. Okay, this one again, it gets a little lost in the weeds there. I'm going to do the bright orange next because I think that yellow ochre might just be too light. I'm going really crazy outside for him. He's like a total wackadoo. This is a really nice orange. If you want to add orange on his, what are these called? Watercolors? I'm making this for my massage therapist because I cannot live without her, and she's obsessed with her chickens. So this is going to go in book 4. This one I think I'm going to call it Working Winnies and Woolies and maybe Wallowers, but it's, oh no, that's the one after this. Oh yes, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually wanted to do my Woodlands Weirdos next and then do the barnyard animals afterwards, but I'm just so excited for all of them. Who knows, maybe I'm just going to do them all at once. Here's that red. So just changing colors. You have this occasionally ones that go totally bonkers, which is just hilarious. So the watercolors as a base is super fun. And then you can use these sign pens to like weasel in little details. Which again, I really struggle with these. I can't get you also would go 10 times slower if you were doing this with a watercolor brush. You'd have to go get more water and moderate it. And it's harder, if you just grab a pen and go, it is super fast and super fun. Put some black ones in here, even up. Whee! Oh, heavens. With these guys, it's like the more the better. More the better. Whee! Oh, so freaking cute. Stink. Ding, ding, ding. Again, you can go really outside, go really crazy. Go all the way to Crazy Town. All right. Oh, yeah, I forgot about a little flower. Don't forget your other things, too. You can actually use these. I forgot about my little flower. Some scribble scrabbles in my flower. Add some red. It's got to look a little bit as crazy as my guy because they are one. And here's some brown inside here. Get the picture, and then also in here. Just a little, literally squaggling this in. Sunflowers are so bizarre. We even have the little ochre, as you do. Always changes around that center. All right, so finishing details. This is that yellow ochre again. All right, I'm gonna let these dry. Whoop. This is my pocket Pentel again. Just gonna even up the dark areas. I'm gonna add the graphite and the highlights, and then we will be done. All right, and when it is all said and done, I add my graphite shading and my highlights, and here is the end result. And again, if you want to see how I use my Blackwing pencils and then my blending stump to create added extra effects and shading, click the video on your end screen right now, and I will see you there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back next week with a new one.